Hey there. Thanks for tuning in to episode 3 of the AMLET podcast as we explore the third world section of the Navajo Creation Story. In our previous installment about the second world, we followed the air spirit people who experienced incredible generosity from the swallow people. Unfortunately, betrayal broke that kindness, and we are reminded that community depends upon trust and mutual respect. In this episode, we arrive in the third world, also called the yellow world, and I would argue that this chapter marks one of the most compelling turning points in the entire creation story. So until now, we've watched spirit itself journey from world to world. They're learning difficult lessons about jealousy, conflict, and most recently, hospitality. But here in episode 3, as we enter the third world, they begin to become human. This transformation happens gradually through ceremony, of course, preparation, and the relationship with the holy people. So, as we read today and in this episode, keep this guiding question in mind. What makes someone human? Is it having a body simply? Or is it being human hinge upon learning how to build relationships, maintain our responsibilities, and honor sacred traditions? So let's see. Be sure to have your copy of the text open to the third world, and I'd love if you took some notes to help you with your assessments. And here we go. The bluebird had joined the air spirit people and was the first to reach the third or yellow world. After him came the first four and all the others. The great female river crossed this land from north to south. The great male river crossed the land from east to west. The rivers flowed through one another in the middle, and the name of this place is Crossing of the Waters. To me, this world feels larger than the relatively simple earlier worlds we've explored. Before, we saw a floating island and some blue plains, and here we have mountains, great rivers, landmarks, and a named place, feeling a bit more like the world we recognize today. The two great rivers catch my attention also in this opening of the third world. One flows north to south, the other flows east to west. Their crossing point becomes sacred in this opening as well. Whenever literature highlights the meeting of two rivers or two roads or pathways, we should definitely pay attention because crossroads imply transition, choice, connection, and eventually transformation. Here, life literally flows together. So rather than opposing one another as opposites, these rivers intersect and continue onward. It's a really another beautiful image of harmony through balance that we've seen so far in this creation story. So let's return to the third world for a moment in your text. In the yellow world were 6 mountains. In the east was Dawn, or White Shell Mountain. In the south was Blue Bead, or Turquoise Mountain. To the west was Abalone Shell Mountain. In the north was Big Sheep Mountain. Near the center of the yellow world was Soft Goods, or Banded Rock Mountain. And near it, east of center, there was Precious Stones, or Great Spruce Mountain. So in this passage, geography becomes even more holy or divine as the 6 mountains kind of define the landscape of the third world. So, for many indigenous cultures, mountains are living places filled with spiritual significance. And for the Navajo people, especially, the mountains continue to shape identity even today. So instead of drawing national borders on a map, the traditional Navajo homeland itself is understood through these sacred landmarks. So, as literature students, we should notice that the story spends time naming every mountain individually. It's like it gives it agency, some personhood, and so therefore, place becomes this inextricable part of who they are. And I know that we identify with that connection to the place that we're from. So let's return to the third world in the text to meet the holy people. The holy people lived on the mountains. They were immortal and could travel by following the path of the rainbow and the rays of sun. Man, that's cool. That is so cool. I wish I could do that. One was talking God. His body was white. One was water sprinkler. He was blue. One was house god. His body was yellow. One was black god, the god of fire. Beyond them, to the east, lived Turquoise Boy, who was a Nodlei, neither male nor female, who guarded the great male reed. And far to the west, on Abalone Shell Mountain, lived White Shell Girl, also a Nodlei. With her was the big female reed, which grew at the water's edge with no tassel. So, from this passage, we see that the holy people embody natural forces like water, fire, speech, and home, and even the rainbow and sunlight become pathways of movement. And that allows this intertwining of nature and spirituality. And as we meet the holy people, I'm personally drawn to the turquoise boy and the white shell girl. It's where we're starting to see a little bit of humanity fold into the text a bit more. The text describes both as Nodlay, meaning that they're neither exclusively male or female. And so readers today may rush to compare this to contemporary conversations about gender identity, but I would ask you to pause and entertain this idea within Navajo culture itself. Many indigenous cultures have long recognized identities that don't fit very neatly into male or female categories. These individuals often held very respected spiritual roles within their communities, and they were not regarded as unusual or lesser. In this creation story of the Navajo, these figures are guardians associated with sacred plants and instrumental to the entire third world's balance. And so, with this introduction, difference is woven into creation itself, which kind of taps into that whole balance and harmony theme, those two themes that we've been following so far in this podcast. So let's look back into the text and see what happens next in the third world. In the autumn, the four holy people called to first man and first woman and visited them, but they did not speak. 4 days in a row they visited. On the fourth day, Black God said, "You must cleanse yourselves, and we will return in 12 days." This part seems curious. For 4 days, of course, 4 days, the holy people visit, but they don't say a word. Maybe it's because if we're reading this and drawing some sort of lesson from it, preparation comes before instruction. We kind of have to have all of our ducks in a row before we feel like we can learn something. We have to eat well before we take the test, where that preparation comes before the instruction. So before we receive wisdom, people must first become ready. Sorry about that. Become ready to receive it. Sometimes even silence teaches more than words do, because we kind of have to sit with our own thoughts and be reflective. Then comes the fours again. We've got the 12, then the four again. If you've been following us in this podcast since the first world, you've probably started recognizing these numerical patterns. They are part of the sacred rhythm of the story. And it's usually a clue to us once we pick up on that rhythm. So let's see the next scene in the third world. It's a little longer. First man and first woman bathed carefully and dried themselves with cornmeal. They listened and waited. On the 12th day, the four holy people returned. Water Sprinkler and Black God carried a sacred buckskin. Talking God carried two perfect ears of corn, with their points completely covered with kernels. I can imagine it. One ear of corn was white, the male corn belonging to the first man. The other ear was yellow, the female corn belonging to the first woman. The gods placed one buckskin on the ground facing west, and on it they placed the two ears of corn with their tips pointing east. Under the white ear they put the feather of a white eagle. Under the yellow ear of corn they put the feather of a yellow eagle. They told the people to stand at a distance so that the wind could enter. This is beautiful. I love passages like this because there's so much to unpack as far as symbolism is concerned. We've got the buckskin, the corn, the feathers, the directions they face, the distance people must stand from it, and the actual wind itself. Ceremonious. Now, some folks may see ceremony as a show, but in this context and in so many others, who value ceremony, the transformation that in this particular ceremony marks a kind of intention. It's intentional to place these things, honor them, associate them, create metaphors and analogies from them. And when we are intentional in ceremony, it heightens the importance of our attention. And so, also in this passage that we just read, the first man and the first woman transform through their relationship. I think that's also very sweet. The holy people guide them, and so many others participate in that, including nature, wind, sacred objects, and community. In many Western stories, heroes change themselves through sheer determination. We see that over and over and over again in the traditional Western hero's journey. Here in the Navajo Creation Story, however, becoming fully human necessitates the community. And my favorite part so far, though, has to do with the corn, if you haven't picked up on it, but which has been around in the background since the first world. It's like the corn represents life itself because it's a source of nourishment that point to the power of agriculture and the land, which makes me feel whole. And it's very wholesome and simple and pure, and strips away so many of the other necessities of what makes life itself. It's rich but not complicated. I'm left with that feeling that the people in the earth belong together after having read that last passage. And so let's witness the next miracle of the third world in the text. Go there with me. The white wind blew between the buckskins, and while the wind blew, each of the holy people walked 4 times around them, and the feathers were seen to move. In this way, they transform first man and first woman from spirit people into human beings with great powers. Now, the holy people said, live here as husband and wife. Oh, it's kind of like they got married. And they're human now. Moving from spirit in to human, I think it just shows the balance and harmony, but then also great value of human life. So the text tells us that the first man and the first woman are transformed from spirit people into human beings, ultimately connecting us as listeners that being human is something we grow into. And that is oddly satisfying. To the Navajo, becoming human requires spirit. It requires the ceremony. And most importantly, out of all of this, becoming human is relational. We can't do it by ourselves. And so the holy people then give a remarkably simple instruction, quote, live here as husband and wife. Again, our central instruction always is going to concern some sort of relationship. Harmony begins with how people live together, just the two of them. And there's one more paragraph in the third world, so I hope that you'll read along with me. At the end of 4 days, first woman gave birth to twins. Whew. They were neither male nor female, but Nod lay. 4 days later, a second set of twins was born, one male and one female. Can you imagine how tired she'd be from all these births? After 20 days, a total of 5 pairs of twins had been born, half of them male and half of them female. Almost at once, they were fully grown. The holy people took each set of twins to their home on the East Mountain and taught them how to wear masks and pray, and then returned them to their parents. That is precious. 8 winters passed, another balancing 8, and during that time, the twins found mates with the Mirage people. Many people came into being. I hope that for contemporary readers, you're picking up on just how unusual these births seem. The first twins are non-lay, meaning neither male nor female. Later twins include male and female children. Then suddenly, many more children appear, growing almost immediately into adulthood. If we're reading this as modern realism, not much of it is going to make sense to us, but creation stories explain origins, not biology. They're compressing generations into a moment, and that rapid growth emphasizes that humanity is, if you think of it in metaphorical terms, humanity expanding quickly, which prepares the world for the future generations. Also, very beautifully, education is at the center of this last paragraph. The holy people teach them, instruct them in prayer, ceremony, and sacred traditions. Knowledge, as we know all too well, must be passed from one generation to the next. And we see here that culture is learned and eventually ingrained if we do it right. And so, furthermore, the twins eventually find partners among the Mirage people, who are essentially personified holy spirits of heat hazes, like the mirages we often see depicted in deserts. Community continues expanding through relationship, not conquest, and it's not part of the human condition for us to survive alone, according to the Navajo. We flourish through that connection. And so, as we finish our time in the third world, let's recap the pattern. The first world introduced life in general. The second world taught lessons about community and hospitality. The third world here teaches us what it truly means to become human and live responsibly, which is to learn from elders, participate in ceremony, honor nature, and value our relationships. We are a part of creation, not above it. And that's lovely. And so, in our next episode, we'll learn the mythological significance of spiders. It's going to be so much fun in the Navajo tradition. So, thank you so much for tuning in to this third episode of the AmLint podcast. I will see you next time, and I hope you take care.